Rob, just in terms of changes this week, can you presume that Cody's on a rest week?
No, Cody took a bit of a knock last week, so he's on a protocol regarding a head knock, so he's not available.
And obviously Dallas McLeod has been pretty good for your defence
Yeah.
in the last few weeks.
Banged up badly, few hematomas, just short week, wasn't just quite going to get there, unfortunately, yeah.
Is there a temptation then with the centre position, given what you did last week, to revert back to Sevu Reece at centre?
Yeah, he did a pretty good job there. We're wrapped with the way he went, but we've gone with, I guess, the tried and true combo, Davey and Levi.
And just on the midfield, on Davey's return, like how significant of an inclusion is that both?
Yeah, very.
Output and leadership?
Sorry, yeah, very. He's, we know he's world class, and his leadership is without doubt influencing the side greatly, and having his maturity, calmness and playing ability out in the midfield is going to strengthen us significantly.
This last one from me for now, but how much of is the selection with the 6-day turnaround after the sapping heat in Suva? I think that all but one of the starting packs different. Like how much is that a direct result of the short turnaround in the heat?
Yeah, that was a bit of the planning. We're wrapped to be able to bring the freshness in, and hopefully, it'll be significant in terms of its impact on Friday night. That's what we're after. But the boys have travelled back really well. So, it was really the whole trip to Fiji was managed beautifully by all departments, and we've come back in pretty good nick.
8 out of 8 for Will Jordan. You said last week you've sort of changed his rest week. Any temptation to go this week, or have you got a plan to maybe give him 2 weeks off in a row with that bye looming?
Yeah, there's some opportunities going forward. Consistency is a bit of a key for us at the moment. We've made a number of changes, but we can't make too many. Yeah, we'll get through the weekend and we'll see how we're sitting.
We haven't seen an injury report this week. How's Kyle Preston? He's obviously not there. Are those ribs still not quite 100?
No, that's right. He's probably another week away. So looking forward to him being fresh and available next week, if all going well.
Your assessment on Scott Barrett? There's been a bit of chat from some All Blacks greats, Jeff Wilson, Miles Muliaina, questioning his form so far this season. What's your assessment? Are those comments fair, would you say?
As much as I love those two gentlemen, none of them have played in the forwards. No, Scoot's fine. He'll be determined, and he's a massively influential guy in our environment, and we expect him to gradually get any doubters out of the way, and he'll kick on back end.
Is it about building? Yeah, is that what you're saying? It was about building his campaign to peak at the right time. Is that what you see him do?
Yeah, well, he's by no means has he been bad by any means. I guess players of his ilk have high expectations every week. They are human, and there'll be fluctuations, as the old saying goes. It's form comes and goes, but class is permanent, and he's certainly got class, and his form will come back to where we all hope it can be very quickly, no doubt.
What's your plan of attack heading into the game this weekend?
Well, I can't tell you that.
Yeah. What about Cullen Grace? Has had a couple of games back with the team post injury. How is he looking heading into this week's game? Yeah,
Cully's looking great. He's had a freshen up. Had a couple of little niggles last week. Able to leave him behind, so not having to do the travel to Fiji, and he's had a great week. So hope he's going to make a real impact. He was in great form through the early part, so hopefully he carries that on.
Cool. Halfway through the season now and still sitting at 2. How will you train to advance to that top spot? Are you going to give us any clues?
Just keep doing what we're doing, but better. And we can't control what the opposition do. So, teams like the Chiefs are phenomenal and playing great footy. We just got to concentrate on ourselves. Yeah, pleasure.
Rob, you obviously broke that winning away hoodoo a few weeks ago, but to go and do that in Fiji, which is a notoriously hard place to win, how pleasing is that?
Well, it's very pleasing. Obviously, it's away wins aren't easy, and we haven't been that successful at all in Fiji. So we had a really good plan, and I think we've got a bit of a blueprint now. We were fortunate with a couple of wins. There's so much within your control, but there's so much outside of it. 5 minutes before kick-off, the clouds came in. You know, it might have been a different story had that not been the case, but everyone did a great job, as I said, and yeah, it's lovely to get the result.
Can I just ask what impact, or how big of an impact Brad Moore has had so far this season on this group, because he is the one big change to the coaching staff?
Yeah, it's not insignificant, but I think all the coaches have equally done a fantastic job. Brad's obviously very experienced and worldly, and there's some wisdom there, which is awesome. So yeah, he's been a great addition to the puzzle.
What do you feel has been his greatest strength so far in terms of, I guess, empowering this group to do what they do?
I just think it's it's an overall combination of him fitting in, him bringing a bit of freshness in a couple of areas, and supporting the others doing their job. I think it's equally apportioned across the whole group is the influence. I think there's been a lot of growth in the off-season. I think Brad's been a great addition.
What's your assessment of the Hurricanes, Rob?
Oh, as always, tough, very capable, talented. They've got momentum shifters and game changers across the park. Dangerous side. Whenever these derbies are played, they're brutal and physical and tough. We know that, but there's also the X factor elements that the New Zealand teams possess, and Hurricanes got their fair share of those.
Just on your game drivers, guys like Noah and Taha who had difficult experiences in Fiji against the Drua in previous seasons. How proud are you of the way they drove the game and played in the right areas, and a lot of that was based on their decision making? Yeah,
well, I guess you go back a step and how well James Marshall in particular with Dan Perrin and Brad Moore drove our attack and really set the attack up that week. Phenomenal performance to be able to put it together on the park in a pressure situation by Taha and Noah and the game drivers. But we had a great week last week, good strategy which was led by the coaching staff, and then between them they were able to implement. Very proud of those young men to be able to get to that point.
Familiar face in the Canes number 10 jersey, obviously with Riley Hohepa. How much appreciation do you have for just the challenge that he faced? He did it with you guys, came in, and what he's now doing for them.
Sorry, I haven't caught up. Has he been named in that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yes, I think Riley grew last year, and we were a bit reluctant not to have him in our group again because jeepers, he's a talented footballer. But the Canes have been the benefactor of that, and he's better again. So, yeah, Riley's he's a great bloke and can play footy.
The big challenge ahead for Tamati this weekend up against Terrell Lomax in the scrums. How have you seen Tamati's progress in scrummaging in the last year or so?
He's world class on that loose head side. Obviously, the way he finished the end of year tour with the All Blacks. And he'll go from strength to strength as he matures. He's still relatively young, but he's a phenomenal athlete and got an unbelievable attitude to his craft. So that battle is going to be very, very interesting.
One from me. Just following on from Nick's Hurricanes assessment, we've seen them be a little bit inconsistent this year. Do you expect them to fire up a lot against you guys this weekend, especially after falling short to the Blues last week?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously the result went against them last week, but they still had some moments where they could have won. So it's not as if they're playing poorly or out of the hunt. And no, they'll be excited about us coming up there, and it's their home ground and all that. They'll be very tough.
Rob, just one slightly from left field, but World Rugby this week basically sanctioned the 7-1 split on the bench that South Africa and France have used. Do you ever foresee that coming into New Zealand rugby, that teams are like you?
Yeah, I guess it depends on the dynamics of the group you've got, the athletes and the type of style of game you want to play, but I'd struggle to think that it would be something in New Zealand's DNA, yeah. You never know, you never say never, but I don't think it would fit.